In terms of my own decisions, I will not be running in the upcoming election. As to what I might be doing later, I honestly haven't had much time to think about that at all. I am entirely focused on doing the job that Canadians elected me to do in an extraordinarily pivotal time right now.
Isn't there an argument to make, though, that the Prime Minister has not put Canadians first?
I'm going to Washington next week, and we're working on not only a plan, but really what will be our actions based on what our strategy is on the U.S.
And I ask you about what retaliation would look like. Is your government prepared to cut off supplies of energy, for example, to the United States?
What I can tell you is everything is on the table.
Oil and gas is owned by the provinces, principally Alberta, and we won't stand for that. And you should never, ever threaten something you cannot do. And I would encourage the minister to look at a map of where Line 5 goes. Line 5 comes down through Michigan to get to Sarnia. And then that feeds the bulk of the supply needed for Ontario and connects with Line 9, which feeds the bulk of the product needed for Quebec. And so if you cut off that line, you are cutting off Ontario and Quebec. So I would encourage the ministers to either understand how our integrated pipeline system works and start looking at ways that we would be able to practically respond, because there's no point in making empty threats that cannot be executed on.
Donald Trump is not rational. You can't discuss a plan over a meal with him. He is a bully. And bullies understand one thing, that is strength. They also understand pain. And so that's why I'm calling on my plan. We know that the United States needs our critical minerals. They're very important for the United States. So I'm calling on all political leaders to support turning off the taps on those critical minerals. Let's stop the flow of those critical minerals into the States. There's no quicker way to get Donald Trump to back away from tariffs than to shut off the tap on critical minerals, what the states need very clearly. We know the Liberals are in disarray, but what about Pierre Poilievre? His plan is literally to do nothing at a time when Canadians are desperately worried about Donald Trump and the threat to Canada.
The question was, should oil and gas and other energy be part of our response to the Americans? The reality is putting Canadian tariffs on American energy wouldn't do very much, because they buy a hell of a lot more oil and gas from us than we do from them. In fact, our entire trade surplus with the Americans is the result of oil and gas. The answer to that is to stop being stupid and start building LNG plants, pipelines, refineries, upgraders, and other energy infrastructures so that we can sell our energy to the world without going through the Americans. That would allow us the independence and the sovereignty that we need to support our economy free from these threats. But
I don't actually believe they have a trade deficit. When you take out energy, we actually buy more goods and services from the U.S. than they buy from us. I think oil and gas is going to be key to being able to get a breakthrough once tariffs do come in getting them off. I think if we maintain a strong partnership on energy, we make the case about how much the Americans benefit from that energy relationship. We demonstrate that we are a good trade partner and that we do buy more goods and services when you take energy out. I think we can make that case, but we do need to be preparing ourselves for the fact that they're likely to come in on January 20th.
Welcome to the program, Mark Carney.
Let's say the candidate wasn't part of the government. Let's say the candidate did have a lot of economic experience. Let's say the candidate did deal with crises. Let's say the candidate had a plan to deal with the challenges in the here and now.
Sneaky. You're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
The former Bank of Canada and England governor has advised the Prime Minister since 2020, but seems to be willing to move away from a signature Trudeau policy that's turned toxic. The carbon tax.
Kenzie, if Carney is about to announce, it was a little unconventional for him to go on an American late night show to set the stage. Why did he do it that way, and what opportunity did it offer him?
Well, a big part of the reason why he went on a U.S. comedy show is to avoid tough questions from Canadian journalists.
At the moment, Canada's political and business leaders do not appear to be entirely aligned. and the clock is ticking.
When it comes to Canada-US, it is we need to be united. We need to put the country first. Every single leader in politics right now should be putting country first.
Isn't there an argument to make, though, that the Prime Minister has not put Canadians first? I mean, ultimately, he took so long to make the decision he did that he is in a placeholder as a Prime Minister